Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 28th Gulf Shores regular city council meeting. Appreciate everyone being here. Mayor Kraft is not here today, so I get to sit in his hot seat. He was invited to Washington to meet with our senators, Senator Tommy Tuberville and Senator Katie Britt. And as a lot of you probably know, Senator Tuberville will not be seeking re-election in that seat as he intends to run for governor. So there's an opportunity in Washington for Mayor Kraft to get in front of our senators and talk about issues related to our area as well as the region. And just a great opportunity for collaboration there in Washington. So he's gone today and tomorrow. So if y'all bear with me, I'll try to get you through this meeting best I can. So I'd like to welcome Pastor John Yates from the First Baptist Church to provide our invocation. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much, Council, for having me. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you today because you are the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. God, we praise your holy name. And today we're asking for unity among our city leaders and our citizens. God, we ask for an outpouring of wisdom for our city leaders to make the right decisions that glorify and honor you in every way possible. And I pray for safety for our citizens. Thank you for the wonderful police department and fire departments and other departments who help keep this city safe and keep our citizens safe. God, we pray for the upcoming weather. God, that you take whatever storms and hurricanes and raise them up and lift them out of here and away from danger for our city and other cities around us. God, again, thank you for an opportunity to first and foremost glorify your holy name. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Thank you. Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Toby, would you call roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Garris?
Here.
Mr. Sinek?
Here.
Dr. Dyken?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris?
Here. Thank you. First, we have approval of the minutes. We have two sets. First from the regular council meeting of July 14th and the second from the work session of July 21st.
Motion to approve July 14th, 2025 regular council meeting.
Second.
Any comments or questions about the meeting minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. Second set from July 21st.
Move for the approval of the council work session meeting minutes from July 21st. Second.
Any questions or comments on those meetings? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention noted. Those meeting minutes are adopted as well. Next, we have the approval of the expense vouchers in the amount of $3,793,382.91. Anna?
Yes, sir. Of that, $204,000 was a loan to the airport for the terminal completion project. $2.9 million of the total was for our capital projects, the largest ticket items being the Waterway East expansion, as well as the PUD Bridge, which each came in just under $940,000 each. When you back out those expenses, our biweekly operating expenses totaled just over $575,000.
Thank you. Any questions from the council or the audience?
Move for the approval of expense vouchers as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Expense vouchers are approved. Next, we have a public hearing. We have two tonight. The first is Resolution 7010 for a PUD request for the Bowden property, which is on the corner of Coastal Gateway Boulevard and Foley Beach Express. Lee, can you walk us through that one, please?
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. This first public hearing item is an application for Planning and Development Master Plan Overlay. This is located along the Foley Beach Express on about 23 acres. It's just north of the Auburn University Vet Specialist Building. Here's some location maps. One on the right with the red star is the location of the 23-acre site. It's in the northeast portion of the community. The image on the left is a map of the zoning in this area. It's outlined in yellow, the 23-acre site. You can see it's zone BG. There's about 110 acres of BG in this area, and there's education zoning to the south, which is the Auburn site, and then the new high school that's under construction south of that. Some ground shots of the property and the surrounding properties. The upper left is looking southwest from the Foley Beach Express. The upper right is looking north from Coastal Gateway Boulevard. And there's another shot in the lower left looking to the west. And then there's the Auburn Vet Clinic that's just to the south of the property there in the bottom right. I'm going to go through some of the main submittal requirements for a PUD master plan overlay. The first is the illustrative master plan. You can see on the right, the plan shows 4 mixed-use buildings, commercial buildings, up on a new County Road 10 in that location. And then there are 7 multifamily buildings south of that are all oriented around a stormwater feature pond in the center of the multifamily site. Again, it's 23.18 acres. It's general business zoning. They're proposing 300 multifamily units with this PUD, and they are proposing a limited number of uses in this. These are all permitted by the BG underlying zoning: retail, restaurant, bank, office, shipping, and personal services. There's almost 5 acres of shared open space. You can see the image on the right, the infinity pool, the pond with piers and a walking path around it, dog parks, pickleball courts, and clubhouses there in their open space plan. They're also proposing roadway infrastructure that helps implement the major street plan, which I'll get into a little bit. This is the future land use map. The property is outlined in the blue dashed line. As you all know, this is the first guide that we look to in making recommendations to the Planning Commission and the Council on zone changes in particular. All of the yellow, the vast majority of this area is that yellow color, which is medium density residential policy. That's not zoning. This is just a future land use. This is what the community sees as the land use as these develop. The majority of this area, as you know, has developed out with single family detached development. There's some attached on Coastal Gateway now, and that's what that yellow color represents. It expects for everything in yellow to develop out with single family attached and detached housing. The red area where this property is located, and it's outlined in the blue dash line, is mixed use commercial. So the red, although this is undeveloped, calls for a mixture of uses. They could be mixed both vertically or horizontally. In this case, they are proposing a mixed use horizontally with some about 30,000 square feet of retail restaurant uses, and then the 300 multifamily uses. So in that sense, from a use standpoint, this is consistent with the future land use plan. It's also consistent with the transportation element of that plan, which calls for the limiting of strip commercial, also having interconnectivity between the developments and lessening curb cuts on major roadways. This proposal does all of those things. Also just responding appropriately to the scale and of the context around the development. BG allows up to 8 stories, the underlying zoning. They're proposing to cap their PUD at 4 stories. So the retail is 1 and the multifamily is 4. So it's 1 to 4 stories, which is consistent with the residential zoning, which is up to 3 stories, as well as the commercial zoning of Foley to the north. So from a development scale, this is appropriate and in line with our future land use plan. It also calls for higher density residential uses along major corridors, serving as transitions to existing single family development, which again, this proposal does. Couple of conceptual site plans I want to go through here. This one focuses on the commercial component of the development. Anywhere you see red text in these slides, these are modifications that are being requested by the applicant. All zoning modifications for the underlying zoning have to be requested through the PUD overlay, and there are no requested modifications to the underlying zoning for the commercial component of this. Commercial component's about 6 acres. It's outlined in that red dashed line, and it meets all of the underlying zoning requirements of the general business. Another requirement of the PUD master plan overlay submittal is conceptual architecture. So these are some conceptual elevations of the commercial buildings on the northern portion of the site. They've also submitted some design guidelines. The buildings are placed at the front setback, which is required in the BG district. They have the design guidelines call for metal roofs, 50% brick or masonry, and then fiber cement siding making out the remainder of the facades on these commercial buildings. The second conceptual site plan that I want to go through is the multifamily component. This is about 17 acres of the 23-acre site. It's outlined in the red dashed line. They do meet the majority of the underlying zoning form and bulk standards, other than the increased setback. You can see under setbacks, the setback for BG is 20 feet. In this case, they have building setback as much as 115 feet. That's because they're placing parking in between the building and the right-of-way, which is not encouraged in BG, nor is it encouraged in the multifamily design standards. But they do have one requested modification in addition to that, and that is the multifamily dwelling use. So multifamily, we hear a lot about apartments and condominiums. That's ownership. Multifamily dwelling is actually the use. That's how our zoning ordinance defines this particular use. So multifamily dwelling uses are not permitted in BG by right. They're conditional uses. There are really 3 ways to get a conditional use permitted in a zoning district. One is to rezone the property. So these are all zoning actions. These all require a recommendation from the Planning Commission and approval by council. One would be to completely rezone the property. The other is a PUD master plan overlay, which is this. The other is a conditional use permit. They chose to go the PUD route because they did meet a lot of the PUD requirements. So that's why the PUD is before you today. But the multifamily use is not permitted by right. It's not a gimme. They have to demonstrate that they're meeting all of the standards of the future land use plan and meet any criteria brought about by the public or the Planning Commission or the council. So this is not a by right use. It has to be approved by council to move forward. They did submit some multifamily elevations as well as design guidelines, very similar to the retail portion and materials. These are all elevator serviced floors. They're 4-story buildings that have elevator access to all floors. Again, brick on the ground floor, and then hardy or fiber cement siding for the remainder of the buildings. Again, all the modifications to the underlying zoning will be in red. So there are quite a few modifications being requested to the multifamily design standards. If you'll remember, back in 2022, there were 2 or 3 multifamily developments that were constructed in the city that the public kind of voiced their dislike for the standards of those multifamily developments. So the city council placed a pause on the acceptance of site plan applications for multifamily developments for 90 days. A lot of people refer to that as a moratorium, but this is a 90-day pause on the acceptance of site plan applications for multifamily to give staff the time to develop new design standards for multifamily development, which we did. That pause was lifted, and since 2022, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing about the ordinance that we wrote for multifamily, but we haven't the city council nor the planning commission have approved a multifamily development since these guidelines were, or these standards were written. It's a very high standard for multifamily development here in Gulf Shores since we rewrote this ordinance. And up to now, we haven't had an application that's come in that has been approved. I didn't go through all those, just know that there are 9 modifications requested to the zoning ordinance for multifamily. Another plan that's adopted by the Planning Commission that we look at when reviewing a zone change or a zoning application is the major street plan. The city's first major street plan was adopted in 2019. It was amended in 2022, so this is the latest amended plan. The image on the right is the overall major street plan, just the plan itself. The document has a lot of background data and projections, but what that plan shows are existing streets in blue that have recommended upgrades to them. All of the orange dashed lines are new street to be constructed. Several of those orange streets are under construction today, and several of the blue streets are under reconstruction or improvement today as well. The image on the left shows this property, the 23 acres outlined in the red dashed line, and you can see it's impacted by 2 new streets on the major street plan. So when we started working with this applicant, we let them know that you're located in the corner of 2 new streets off the Foley Beach Express, and the expectation is that you will work with the city to get that infrastructure in per the major street plan. And they have proposed to construct that infrastructure. The image on the right shows their circulation plan. The little bubbles in light blue are to be constructed with the first phase of development. That's what aligns with the future County Road 10 off of Foley Beach Express, the one running east and west, and then the one running north and south is what we've called Wavemaker Way. That's a street that ties into the new high school that's under construction. And then the second phase, the light green lines would be constructed with the second phase of development, which is the other half of their commercial up on County Road 10. They are requesting a couple of zoning modifications. One to Article 14 that requests an increase in their parking width from 24 feet to 26 feet, and that's based on the height of the buildings, getting the appropriate fire apparatus in. They need a minimum of 26 feet to set up that particular truck for this height of building. And then Article 15 under planning developments, this is a request to actually gate the PUD. A PUD does not call for the gating. It's supposed to be open public streets. And in this case, they've asked for a modification of that requirement. Finally, the open space plan, this is another component that's required for a PUD submittal. On the image on the right, everything that's yellow is part of what is required for shared open space. And then everything that is blue, which is a pond, which counts as open space since they encircled it with the walkway and made it a feature of the site. That's about 5 acres of the site. And then everything in green is just passive area. This is landscaping areas, buffers, that sort of thing. So it's almost 10 acres overall of some type of open space on the site. They are requesting some modifications to Article 12, and that is landscaped islands and parking lots. They'd like to go 12 spaces before having an island with a street tree in it or a parking lot tree rather than the required 10 spaces. And this is just a perspective rendering looking northwest over the stormwater detention pond. You can see the trails going around it. You can see the retail building kind of in the background there, the 4-story apartment building, the infinity pool, the pickleball court. So you can see some of the amenities here in this image. Staff and the Planning Commission are recommending approval of this PUD master plan overlay. There are 6 conditions tied to that recommendation. The first being a development mitigation plan. This is, again, with the new multifamily rewrite. This had a traffic impact study that was submitted with it. But at site plan, if this moves forward, at site plan, the applicant will be required to submit a development mitigation plan, which would be an update to the traffic impact study, as well as an analysis of any impacts to the water and sewer infrastructure that serves this development. 2, prior to the issuance of a building permit, Form FAA 7460 would have to be submitted. Number 3, at the time of site plan application, the applicant will have to work with staff in order to locate the new Wavemaker Way and County Road 10 for access to the development. And then 4, these are all recommendations that came out of the TIS, and that is the future north-south roadway, Wavemaker Way, and the County Road 10 extension would have to be constructed prior to a CO. The construction of Waymaker Way shall be coordinated with our improvements at Coastal Gateway, a new lighted intersection going into the school, and then some modifications, a decel lane on Foley Beach Express to align with the U-turn on Foley Beach Express so folks can get into the development. Access roads, parking lot drives, gates, and turning radii shall be approved by the fire marshal. And finally, all building permit plans for the development shall comply with the 2021 International Fire Code. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lee, for that extensive report. Any comments or questions from the council for Lee?
I'll make a few comments. I made these last week as well, but I just want to continue the discussion in regards to this project. I think first and foremost, I have a really difficult time with this project because it is not zoned by right to have this development. BG specifically does not allow multifamily, so it's a huge hurdle for me personally to vote for something that allows increased rights for their property that aren't allowed by the zoning designation. So right there, that's almost a challenge to overcome. But beyond that, these discussions have been going on for some time with the developer, and the reason is because the developer does have the right to go through the process to apply for a PUD. And so they elected to do so, and during that time, we discussed a multitude of things, but specifically the rewrite of our multifamily regulations and standards. That was done back, as you said, in 2021, and it was done in order to make sure that if we have a multifamily complex developed in this community, that it fits our standards that we want in this community, that the citizens want in this community. Since we rewrote those standards, we haven't had an application. But as part of that, this developer was looking at how he could comply with those new standards over the last several years. So we had meetings in regards to that discussion, and unfortunately, as you can see by your report, there are a lot of different exceptions from our multifamily design standards, which I don't know why we would do multifamily design standards if we're not going to stick to them. So I think we need to stick to those multifamily standards, and those standards were written to really allow almost like a lifestyle center, have residential mixed in with commercial at the appropriate densities, and to develop a almost destination area that could kind of self-serve that community. And I do not see that this particular design meets those standards. I mean, what I see is a strip mall of 4 commercial buildings and a block of 7 apartment complexes or multifamily buildings. So for those two, the first reason was enough to have a problem with it. The second was we were just going through the process to allow a property owner his rightful appeal to the city and our regulations to explore opportunities that they have. I don't think he's met that standard. And then third and finally, we have a 1,200 student capacity high school opening up right across the street from it. Until that opens, we really don't know what kind of impact that's going to have on traffic flow or on the area. So I don't think giving somebody rights that they don't have on their property while we don't even know how our high school is going to impact the traffic flow in that area, I don't think is a good idea. So for those 3 reasons, I cannot favor allowing this to go forward, and I will not be voting in favor of it.
Thank you. Councilman Dyken, anyone else?
No, I agree with Jason. There's too many things that just aren't right, that don't add up to our standards, what we really want to do here. And especially not knowing the future of the high school traffic. So I can't support this either, so.
Beyond what Councilman Dyken says, I have a question about what we have on projects like this of retrenching water. In that area, everything goes to Boggy Branch and the two little branches in Cotton Creek. And that land does not perk well. Never has, as long as I've been here, and I've been here a long time. So the water runoff is, I think, what we're seeing around the country and other places where it's developed. We have to start looking at these places to actually hold water more than what we have it designed at this time. Things have changed over the years, and more building and more non-pervious ground where water can't perk, and that doesn't perk good over there. So we've had several times that Cotton Creek flooded during rains. Danny was one of them. Of course, it's been a long time ago. That was
97.
97. I think that was 26 or 30 inches of rain where Fish River even flooded. So everything over here floods too. So I think going forward, if we're going to have these developments, we've got to start looking at holding more water, potentially, 20 to 30 inches of rain at 48 hours, periods. So I can't support this.
Any other council comments? This is a public hearing, so we'll open up the public hearing for your comments. And if you have some comments you'd like to share, please come to the microphone and tell us who you are and where you live, and we'll be happy to field your comments at this time.
My name's Greg Coker. I live in Stonegate Estates, the nearest residential subdivision to this. County Road 8, when I moved in, was a 2-lane country road. Now you've made it a major 4-lane thoroughfare. That's the Coastal Gateway Boulevard, bringing all the traffic you can bring through it already. You're building a high school, you're adding about 500 cars a day from the high school. If you build this thing, you're gonna have another 700 cars a day, and 90% of them will go down Coastal Gateway Boulevard. We'll have trouble even getting in and out of our subdivision. And I am, as most of the people that live in my neighborhood, I believe, are adamantly opposed to trying to do something that's gonna add more concentration of vehicles to that neighborhood. You approve Rayleigh Farms. Rayleigh Farms is gonna have 476 homes in it. At 2 cars per household, that's 900 cars you added to that road. And it looks it every day. It's hard to get in and out now. So we are opposed to it. I and those neighbors I've talked to are opposed to this construction.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. I would just like to say, I would like to, first of all, I appreciate the change of heart that the council has had. I'm sure the developer is probably puzzled because he's been talking to talking to you guys for a couple years and probably thought this was moving right along. He had full approval from the Planning Commission, and now here we are with a change of heart on the project, which I'm thankful. Just, I think from the last meeting we had about this project, you've probably seen that people are angry about growth and are ready to see changes in that area. I do think we have to be more thoughtful about it. I'm happy to hear Lee talk about the moratorium. I think it's something that we need to take another look at, which is something that we've discussed. And some other things that I think we need to talk about. First of all, yes, the zoning. Why are we approving something that this is not even zoned for the multifamily housing here? So why would we change that zoning in order to bring something in that's going to create 300 more housing units? We talked about the high school and how many cars it's going to put on the road from the high school, but also how many children we're putting in those schools. We have a a high school that probably can accommodate it, but we have an elementary school that already has over 1,000 kids. So, how many more elementary school children are we putting in that school? The traffic we discussed, I know you talked about the extension, the County Road 10 extension. Does that extension go further south than County Road 8? Does that go past County Road 8 going south?
It runs parallel to County Road 8, so it doesn't.
So it
go
goes
south.
east-west? Okay, so it's still going to dump traffic on County Road 8 at some point, is that correct? Or the Foley Express
Yeah,
to get south?
yeah, County Road 10, if you know where County Road 10 is on 59.
Sure. Mhm.
Foley's Major Street Plan and ours calls for that extending to the Foley Beach Express.
Right. Okay. But it's still going to, coming south, the traffic still has to go somewhere. So what usually happens with that kind of, without the infrastructure for the roads for development like this, is it ends up routing traffic through neighborhoods like, Craft Farms North and, and other neighborhoods around the city. So, the traffic's got to go somewhere. Also, the infrastructure, I know that it said that they were going to have to do a study prior to getting a permit for the infrastructure, but that's something that needs to be seriously looked at. And when we had a power outage, 1,400 homes, this weekend. Is our infrastructure stressed already without adding more units? In the last 18 months, we added 1,144 new units in Gulf Shores. Okay, not by right. We talked about that. The modifications, great. And again, just to reiterate the fact that, it says in the zoning, in the modifications, that it should meet the specifications of something that the citizens want. And obviously, the citizens do not want this project. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name's Jerry O'Brien. I live in Mobile, but have been a property owner here for pretty much all my life. And in any regard, I'm speaking on behalf of the property ownership group, which is 810 Express, which has owned that property for 20 years. The city of Gulf Shores came to us and asked us to be voluntarily annexed into the city sometime back, which we agreed to do. We've also had good relationships with Lee and other people in the past as far as vacating easements in order to accommodate the city's request in order to be able to move forward with the Auburn Veterinarian School project. And we've been very cooperative throughout the past. When we originally came in voluntarily and annexed into the city, the zoning on our property was BG. BG at that time did allow multifamily by right. Y'all changed the ordinance in 2020, since we've owned the property, to change it to where a conditional use permit was required and/or a rezoning and/or the third way, which was a PUD application, which we talked with Lee about and chose to go that path because we were told it was the path of least resistance. We have, throughout this process, provided traffic studies, architectural drawings, different things that the city has asked for, staff has asked for, over and over again to the tune of several $100,000 worth of expense. That's not really a proper way to conduct yourself in dealing with developers if you want first-class developers to come in here and help the city grow and prosper. It's also a $65, $70 million impact as far as the benefits that this project offers with all the employment, the infrastructure that would be put in by the developer having to do with the north-south connect back to Highway 8, or the north intersection with 10, which the developer would be participating in the cost of. If the council doesn't think this is a good project, the developer's been more than willing and listened to everybody throughout the process and has spent a considerable amount of time and money. And to basically be approved to the Planning Commission on a unanimous vote not that long ago, to have the whole thing changed to here, the things we were hearing was traffic was a major concern. We furnished a traffic study at a great expense. And in that traffic study, the area that we're in is basically, as Lee said, suitable for this type of use. Secondly, the level of service that's existing out there on the Beach Express as well as on Gateway Parkway is a level C. After post-development of this project as completed, the level of service is still operating at a sea level. So you've got your traffic concern that could be, not substantiated by the actual traffic studies. You've got a property that was entitled to do this for some time, long before 20, that all of a sudden the rules have changed. You have caused these developers to expend a great deal of money in order to pursue the project. And now we're coming back and saying that is something that the community doesn't want. All I ask is that in the future, if you're going to consider these kind of things, that you really need to give the developer a little bit more discretion if you want to attract decent people, because people aren't going to want to come here and try to spend the kind of money to get entitlements that really should be in place already. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm Mike Dunaway. I live up on Royal Troon Circle. Just want to give you guys a few things to think about. First of all, we have like 56 units right behind our house on Coastal. And, we went away from this county school system to make a nice city school here. And a couple things I was wondering about was, who's going to be building all these different projects for us? We've had a number of raids here. We're going to be using American citizens to build these properties for us. Coastal Gateway has to be one of the evacuation routes. When there is an evacuation, we have one lane that goes left. You have to cross over. That entire intersection needs to be redone. You cross over and you go north and merge into a passing lane. Well, everybody from Orange Beach is going to be on that expressway. So before we go building anything more out there, I think we really need to look at how we're going to get out of here when we have to go. And you can maybe tell me some other time how that's going to work. But some of the people that are moving into these 56 townhouses up here, I don't know if everyone wants their kids going to school with some of these kids. I thought we were going to have some special things going on at these schools. So I'm just hoping that you think of some of these other things. I got a lot more to say, but I'm not going to say them right now. But thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm J.R. Beadle. My husband and I have been property owners since 2011. We were on the island. We're now in Craft Farms North. Most of the points that I have in my little letter have been addressed. The big one was the traffic study. The developers did a traffic study, but did that take into account, as we've discussed, the new high school? Just as an instance, on Sunday morning, I go to church over in Orange Beach. I can get there in 15 minutes. Coastal Gateway Boulevard, Beach Express, over to Canal Road. The same trip on Saturday afternoon, which is the tourist time, or Wednesday morning, my husband goes over, takes almost 35 minutes because of the traffic. And this is before the high school opens. So we're going to have the high school traffic in the early morning, the late afternoon, and that's going to be for 9 months out of the year. And then we've got the 3 months of the tourist season that you can't get, the traffic's backed up almost from the bridge all the way up to the service island on some Saturdays with the people coming in. The other thing that hasn't, or it's been kind of mentioned, neighboring communities have put moratoriums. I believe Foley and Orange Beach have moratoriums on residential, new multifamily residential projects. Years ago, I'd been before the council to ask if they consider some type of moratorium when the apartments next to the enclave at Oak Hill were being built. And nothing was done at that time. I'm once again calling for the council to enact at least a 9-month, if not a year moratorium on new residential developments. This would allow for the current infrastructure projects, widening of 59, the new bridge, the promised water tower, to come to completion to better access the traffic and infrastructure load. It seems that I know this development would take a while, but we don't have the bridge done, 59. We need to get that done and to see how traffic, how infrastructure, how things move before we keep piling things on, because that train just keeps getting more cars behind it. And if we can't get the car moving forward, or the train moving forward, those cars are going to be stuck. The last thing, and I've told Grant Brown this many times when I've talked to him, that the small town big beach monitor that is all over Gulf Shores is no longer apropos. We are now becoming Destin 2.0. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Mike?
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for what I've heard today. I'm actually impressed. Maybe you kind of sort of did listen to us several weeks ago. By stopping this, we'll keep an additional 300 to 600. If there's 3 people driving in the family, possibly up to 900 more vehicles off of our road. Thank you for that. A lot's been talked about the high school this afternoon. It goes back to what I said several weeks ago. We need a fire station. I love our fire department. I love our police department. But you're talking about opening up a school. You're talking about all us residents that live out that way. God forbid something happens. I know there's EMTs on the trucks now, but just in my neighborhood, we've lost from heart attacks from 40 years old up until the 80s. In Crimson Ridge, there was a house that burned down to the ground last year. If a fire station was right down the road, could they possibly save some of that structure? It's just something we need to get taken care of. It's just gotten ridiculous. I understand there's people who come here to make money, but there's also people like myself and a lot of us that are here that came here to retire. I did my time, and I'm so sick and tired that I can't go to my own beach. I can't enjoy what I moved down here for. And it's changed since I moved here. And instead of down the line, after, like the lady just said, let's get this school open, let's get everything going. But think about this. Instead of putting an apartment complex there years from now, why don't we build a beautiful aquarium? Have something decent for amount of hours where traffic isn't going back and forth to the apartments and stuff like that. And we need our park. You're talking about building an apartment complex that's got walking trails, dog park, and all that. What about us citizens? What about us people that are here? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Quick mention, I know it's trite, Jeannie P. Crab Farms. Can we design, I think the apartment buildings are ugly. The design that I was looking at, can we kind of, next time people come out with these architectural drawings for anything in this town, can we kind of put something nice out there instead of these institutionalized looking buildings? When I drive down the beach road, I'm looking at institutional buildings. They look bad. They're pretty bad. And that lady is 100% right. We are now big city, little beach. It's so sad, you know, for the locals that have lived here. So just keep in mind beautification when we go to design different things with this town. I don't mind growth. That's nice. But let's grow beautifully, not institutionally. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Brent Osborne with Bowden Development. I just wanted to say that I do appreciate all the time and energy that the city has spent working with us over the past 4 years. We feel like this is a very nice development, very upscale, and would be a great addition to the community. We are bringing infrastructure that supports the major traffic plan or street plan that the city has. And you always have to take the first step in order to alleviate an issue. And we're proposing to spend several $1 million doing that, starting County Road 10. That has been a vision, as I understand, for a long time of Foley and the city of Gulf Shores that gives you another east-west connector. Also, the Wavemaker Way, that would assist in alleviating traffic congestion at the corner of 8 and Foley Beach Express when completed. Yes, we did take some ask for some modifications on the multifamily ordinance. Those modifications that we've went through extensively as what we were asking were, as I would say, not the higher priority items that y'all had expressed to us. Those were things that helped bring the product together that we thought would be very beneficial to the area. We like Gulf Shores. We think it's a good place to be in. We talk about the inner workings of our amenities for the proposed development. Well, when you do that, while it's not open amenities, it does give a place for the new residents of that community to enjoy that actually takes pressure off of public space and public usage in other areas. The gating of the community, it was the gating of the multifamily only, not the retail. Again, when you bring retail, that's one of the primary sources of revenue for most municipalities. I hadn't looked at Gulf Shores in specific, but it is always a high source of revenue for the city, which gives them the funds they need to then develop other infrastructure. It's kind of like one's got to come, the other's got to come. Sometimes they have to kind of move forward together. This development probably wouldn't put anything on the ground for 3 or 4 years, which would give time for other things to mature. There are several $1 million in fees that would be paid as a part of this development that the city would be able to utilize to continue to address the issues that they may see that they need. We didn't feel like we were going down a pathway of resistance, or we wouldn't have continued the journey. We've had a lot of communication, a lot of hours. We spent time adjusting Wavemaker Way so that it aligned with the high school and with a potential other uses of the property adjacent to it, which I believe was purchased by the CVB for future expansion, I'm assuming, of Parks and Rec. But we did do that. Numerous meetings trying to make sure we addressed all the issues that were brought forth to us. And I feel like we have done that. Again, it would be several years down the road before it would actually deliver product, but I think it would be a great addition to your community. It would be attractive, well-designed, and there again would bring a retail component with it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Susan Clary. I've been in the area since 98. So I've seen a lot of growth and development. I live in Stonegate, been there 7 years. I don't know what the meeting was really about 4 years ago at the Eric Meyer Civic Center when you asked the citizens to write down on their little 3x5 cards what they wanted. Now, do you really want to go down in history as asking what the public wants in their neighborhood, and you develop a beautiful plan for a park, for a fire station, for just a beautiful area for the residents on County Road 8, and then not deliver? I'm very disappointed that it's come down to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else before we close the public hearing? Yes, ma'am.
I wasn't going to say anything, and I thank all of y'all, but I'm also a Stonegate Estates resident. My name is Janine Coker. Small town, big beach. We've been in Stonegate 13 years, and the County Road 8 development has been great. But just since Sunday, to go to church, it took 3 stoplights to get out on 59. To go to the doctor this morning, it took 3 stoplights to get out on the expressway to head toward Foley. And it's just, we were a residential street, a residential area. And we love the new high school coming, and we know it's going to bring a lot more traffic. But, yeah, that's fine. But for a complex like this, we don't need any retail out there. We need to support Pelican Place, 5 minutes away. Others 5 minutes away. We need the water tower. We need the park. We need a small town that's for the residents. So I'm just asking that you think about that. Gulf Shores is growing. It's going to continue to grow, but the infrastructure has just got to be there for it to grow. And thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Okay, I think we'll close the public hearing now, Toby.
Okay.
Is there any other comments from the, yes, sir?
Can I speak about the tree ordinance?
Let us finish this project, sir. There'll be a time at the end of the agenda. If you're not on the agenda, we'll let you come up and share that with us. Yes, sir. Any other comments from the council? I have a couple just in response to a couple of things that I've heard. There's been a couple of comments about County Road 8, Coastal Gateway, and in the traffic and the annexation request from property owners. Several years ago, the city and the planning commission and council looked at areas around our city that were potential threats that primarily were pockets of unzoned areas that we didn't have any jurisdiction over. There was no oversight into planning and zoning. And so all of the property owners from, at that time, County Road 8 were invited to a meeting in this room with our local legislators. And there was discussion about a total annexation of property owners on that road and what the city would do as far as roadway improvements and infrastructure improvements, utilities, stormwater drainage, because there wasn't anything there for stormwater. And a lot of this property was unzoned in the county, and we saw that as a threat. Every property owner on County Road 8 agreed for a legislative annexation, and then zoning was applied. And most of the zoning was applied in a residential format, a residential zone, looking for the family growth and the residential, which was the least impactful to the neighborhood. Now you have traffic, but I have a feeling a lot of you live out there. So there wasn't an outreach for specific properties to annex to get higher development out of. It makes sense that the properties close to Foley Beach Express and Highway 59 had commercial opportunity on them. So that legislatively passed only because every property owner agreed and supported that annexation. And while, yes, we have a lot of homes out there, yes, we have traffic, we now have 4 lanes to move that traffic, we have stormwater, we have landscaping, and we have oversight from planning into zoning to make sure the communities get the amenities and the open space and the buffering that our ordinances required that weren't required prior to the annexation. The only other comment I'll make is that 3 weeks ago, we had the work session meeting on this request in front of this council. And that was the first meeting that the whole council saw this request. And so there's not been a change since the council has seen this. What you heard last week is kind of what you heard this week, or what you heard 3 weeks ago. So wanted to clarify those couple of things. One comment on the water tower. Water tower's under design. Engineers have been engaged. That's working. I sit on the utility board. That's a funded project, and it's currently being designed. They're working on test wells, so that's coming. And I know that'll help a lot with water pressure and water storage and all, so that's coming. The Coastal Gateway Park, we engaged the design team. This park grew when we acquired that extra 80 acres, and to make something really special in the budget grew with that. And by the time you put in road infrastructures and stormwater and drainage, you spent $15 million out there, and you've done nothing to put any people out there yet. And with the budgets that we had on capital projects, we had to make the decision to spend the money we had left on projects that had matching grants attached to them. And a lot of those are the infrastructure projects, the build grants, the restore grants. So if we didn't put our matching funds there, we lose those grants. So it wasn't that the park didn't have priority, but with all the cost increases, we ran short on where that $200 million could accomplish us and get us. And unfortunately, the park didn't have any matching funds. That was the only project that we had on the table that didn't have any matching funds. So we had to meet our obligations elsewhere. It is on top of our list. And it will be the next project that is done, even if it's done in 3 or 4 phases, to get some passive area for you to go and enjoy. So we've not tabled it. It is under design, and that is our very next project. The fire department is on that list with that part. Yes, ma'am. So thanks for giving me that minute, but just a couple of things that I thought I needed to respond to, some not related to this project, but all right, that closed the public hearing. No more comments. This is Resolution 7010. And I'll ask the council for a motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the resolution. Is that?
So the ordinance is written in the affirmative, so if, with a motion to deny, a vote to deny would be a yay response. If you're in support of denial, it'll be a yay response to the motion to deny.
I second the motion.
John, you have a comment?
I just wanted to confirm that I understood, but I think I do. Go ahead. Sorry.
So we're voting on his motion, which is to deny. We're not voting on all the ordinance have to be written, or the resolutions have to be written in the affirmative, and then a motion can be made to deny, or it can be made to affirm, and if the no votes then would cancel the affirmative action. But motion was made to deny, so support of the denial would require a yay vote. Toby, we just take roll call.
Yes, sir. Mr. Garris.
Aye.
Mr. Sinek.
Aye.
Dr. Dyken.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Yay. Unanimous vote for denial. I guess you're next. I hadn't got there yet, Andy. Second public hearing tonight is for the CUP request for the Hibas Karaoke and Arcade Bar request. Andy?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Anyone take just
Yeah, I'll take a minute, let some people leave if
30
they'd like
second
to.
break? Thank you for coming, folks.
Okay.
All right, Andy.
This is a conditional use permit application. The applicant seeks a conditional use permit approval to operate a lounge bar use at Suite 210 of Pelican Place Shopping Center. Pelican Place Shopping Center is located at 3800 Gulf Shores Parkway. A lounge bar use is only allowed by a conditional use permit at this location. As the City Council knows, a conditional use permit requires public hearings before the Planning Commission and City Council. Typically, conditional use permits are those type of uses that are not allowed by right because they may negatively impact the city and surrounding neighborhoods. So extra discretion is provided to the Planning Commission and City Council in review of these applications. The City Council may approve a conditional use permit, may approve it with specific conditions, or deny a conditional use permit application. I think all of you know where Pelican Place is. It was approved to be a 160,000 square foot commercial center with restaurant and retail uses. As of today, about 66% of the tenant spaces are occupied and open. Most of the businesses operate between the hours of 9 a.m. and 8 p.m., and about 7 businesses operate later than that. The zoning of the property is part of the Craft Farms PUD. It was originally part of the Craft Farms RPC when that zoning designation existed in the past. In that PUD master plan, this area is designated for commercial uses, and the allowable uses are those as allowed in the general business zoning district. And a lounge bar use is only allowed upon approval of a conditional use permit in the general business zoning district. Some of the history. This property was operated as Cohiba Dunes Cigar Bar from 2009 to 2022. In 2023 and 2024, the business license renewal application was deferred to the City Council for a public hearing by the police department because of safety issues that were occurring at the premises. In both cases, the City Council did conditionally approve the renewal of the business license with specific conditions in hopes of addressing those safety concerns that were brought before the City Council by the police department. In 2024, we received a new business license application for Hibas Karaoke and Arcade Bar. After city staff reviewed the proposed business plan, we noted that the business license request was a change of use from a tobacco bar to a lounge bar use. And again, a lounge bar use at this location requires conditional use permit approval. This application was presented to the Planning Commission at their May 28, 2025 meeting, and the Planning Commission recommended denial of the CUP request. A part of the CUP application process is for the applicant to submit a narrative, and the Hibas business has submitted a narrative. They seek to create a fun, safe, kind of new entertainment venue for Gulf Shores residents and tourists. They would like to transition away from the previous tobacco bar model. In the early evenings, they indicate they'll focus on family-friendly type of events, such as offering charcuterie boards, games, arcades, and things of that nature. At night, it'll shift or transition into a typical bar-type activity. They have indicate that they will have enhanced security measures in terms of underage drinking and some of the safety issues that were occurring in the past. They will try to address those, but they would like to still close at 3 a.m. So this was presented at the Committee of the Whole meeting approximately a month ago. At that meeting, there were some specific questions that were raised by the City Council and the applicant.
this update will provide answers to those questions. So the question was brought up about Cohiba Dunes and how it was approved in the past. So I think some of you city council, some of you, or maybe most of you, were on the city council back in 2007. The city adopted the no smoking ordinance that prohibited smoking in all buildings within the city. Shortly thereafter, the owners of Cohiba Dunes Cigar Bar approached the city because there was not any type of regulations to allow a cigar bar. Those no smoking ordinance was amended to allow a tobacco bar and tobacco stores. Shortly thereafter, Cohiba Dunes business license was approved as a tobacco store/bar. That business license use required the business to be devoted to the primary use of the business to be selling of tobacco products, required a humidor and a specialized ventilation system to remove the smoke from the cigar bar. The question was also asked or raised about any other lounge bar uses within the general business zoning district. Staff did some research. There are currently no other lounge bar uses in the general business zoning district, and any future lounge bar uses will have to follow the conditional use permit process if they're proposed in a general business zoning district. And then I believe there also a statement made that there's been no safety issues for the police department since the new business owners took over in fall of 2024. I did speak with the police chief. He indicated the police department continues to have or get negative reports of behavior at the current premises. And Chief Nedemar is in the audience. He can answer any specific questions related to that. So the analysis that we presented a month ago is really unchanged. We focused on the city zoning regulations, the long-range planning documents, as well as locational and specific design standards. The CUP offers 14 factors for applications to be reviewed against. We primarily focus on 3 of those factors that are on the screen in front of you all. So the first factor is the proposed use in accordance with the applicable requirements of the zoning ordinance. Again, a lounge bar use is only allowed by CUP, allows extra scrutiny to be placed on such use by the city council. As you will remember, Pelican Place was originally approved as a lifestyle center for retail and restaurant uses. The second factor that we focus on is the proposed use compatible with the goals and stated plans of the city? We reviewed both Vision 2025 as well as the land use plan. Both of those documents indicate that the Gulf Shore shall be really a family-oriented, safe community. City staff does not believe that a lounge bar use that's open till 3 a.m. supports the goals of the land use plan and Vision 2025 plan. And then finally, does the proposed use provide economic benefits and enhance the quality of life or detract from city services? We believe that a late night lounge bar use will contribute to noise pollution, potentially will impact the surrounding neighbors, and will not be a positive impact on the community. We also reviewed this application versus the standards from the Crime Prevention through Environmental Design program. It's a nationally recognized program that basically has a premises that the design of the built environment directly impacts the human behavior. So it could impact the human behavior in a positive way or a negative way. So we specifically looked at the location of the proposed use versus those, I think it's 5 criteria. And we came up with that the location shown on the screen, both the photograph and the plan view is by a star. It's located interior to Pelican Place on a kind of an interior courtyard. The parking is to the rear. The driveways are also kind of to the exterior of the property. So it's not easily viewed by passerbys, whether it be in a vehicle or walking or whatnot. Also, as previously stated, the proposed hours of operation are from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. There are only, I think, 3 businesses currently in operation on the courtyard. All of those close, I think at the latest at 11 p.m. So that kind of results, or doesn't kind of, it results in a lack of activity at this location during a lot of the time when this proposed use is in operation. There's nobody going to be there at the other businesses because they're all closed or not open because there's not a lot of businesses in this location. And that makes it a little bit easier for safety type and criminal behavior to occur or go unseen and unreported. So city staff does not believe a lounge bar use is appropriate based on those locational design criteria. So again, the primary factors in review of a CUP application and staff's opinion is if the use represents a positive impact to the city of Gulf Shores and its residents. We kind of have 4 factors that we think are important to point out to the city council. Again, in both years 2023 and 2024, this business license was referred to the city council due to safety issues that the police department was having at this location. We don't believe a late night bar business plan is compatible with the stated goals of the city. 3 late night lounge bar uses negatively impact communities in a variety of ways. And then utilizing those SEPTED design criteria, we do not believe that a bar lounge use is appropriate because it's to the interior of this development, it's not easily viewed, and so on. So with that, the staff and the planning commission recommend denial of the CUP application for a lounge bar use at this location. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Any questions from the council on this issue?
Just an observation of sorts. I don't have anything against bars or especially nightclubs. That was my life for many, many years. I took over many a place that was in trouble. My job was to be a fixer. And I went in and fixed a lot of these places. They were not in such great neighborhoods. And the way a bar and nightclub operate where it's successful is management and policy. And I think that is sad that got away from the operation of this place. It got away from a couple of other places as well. But nightclubs and bars can be run responsibly and managed well with policy again and oversight and good management. And what has resulted based on these locations is where we are today, which is sad. I can't support, I have to support a denial based on it's not because it's a bar or a nightclub, it's the totality of the circumstances that got us to where we are today. I'd be happy to hear anything that Chief Nettermeyer has to share that might change my mind. But it sounds like not many of the issues have changed significantly enough to impact his being able to support this as well. And I have to rely on his expertise and his reports before I could approve something like this or consider it favorably. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, I'll just comment. We've been through a history with this particular location with probably 3 different operators and can't seem to get away from the problems. And for many of the operators, and maybe they're not bad operators, maybe it's just the location. This particular location, the closest parking to this business is on the back side of the shopping center. It's kind of back of the house, so it's not visible, doesn't have a lot of good visibility, and that turns out to be the hangout area from the patrons late at night, which is closest also to the neighborhood sitting right behind it, and the residences right behind the shopping center there. And it's been a very challenging location, but the request tonight, just as a reminder, is a CUP request to allow the zoning at that specific location. So it really doesn't impact any other locations around town, but it's specifically to that particular location and is a late night bar conducive for that location. This is a zoning CUP request because it's a change in use. So this is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing now. If anyone has any comments, please come to the microphone and let us know who you are. Silence says a lot sometimes, doesn't it? We'll close the public hearing then if no one would like to make any comments. At this time, I'll ask for a motion. It's Resolution 77011.
I would like to move to adopt Resolution 7011. Do want to note that it's stated in the negative, so approval of this resolution will be a denial of that use.
Thank you.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution passed denying the CUP request. Under new business, Grant, we've got the sponsorship agreement for the NCAA beach volleyball tournament.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There are no changes from the presentation last Monday. This is to just codify our partnership with the NCAA through the Alabama Gulf Coast Convention and Visitors Bureau and Sports Commission. So the little bit of history is the Sports Commission put a bid in on behalf, with us partnering, for the NCAA to continue to host the National Volleyball Championships for a 5-year period, which was 2027 through 2031. And previous to that, there was a split award, 2022 and 2023 and 24 to Gulf Shores, 2025 and 2026 to Huntington Beach, California. Huntington Beach was unable to follow through on their hosting the event, so it's now reverted back to Gulf Shores in 2025. You'll recall that this year. So the agreement that we're recommending the mayor be authorized to execute is a partnership for 2026 through 2031 to support the hosting of the NCAA Beach Volleyball National Championship in Gulf Shores. And it appropriates up to $190,000 annually to support the infrastructure and the improvements to the site. This is an event that brings tremendous marketing value with ESPN Sports, broadcasting all these events. It brings a tremendous number of hotel rooms and room nights into the town, and it's a event that since 2016 has been a cornerstone to the city of Gulf Shores. So that is the recommendation. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Grant. Any questions from the council? Resolution 7012.
Move for the approval of Resolution 7012 as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That resolution passes. Thank you, Grant. Now you've got another one on a tri-party agreement for the track meet.
Yes, sir. This is another opportunity to partner with the Sports Commission and the Gulf Shores Orange Beach Tourism Group, a tri-party agreement to host the SSAC, which is the Southern States Athletic Conference Championship. It's a track and field championship at the Gulf Shores Sportsplex, April 19th through the 21st of 2026. We've hosted this event a number of years in the past. This is a 1-year request for hosting with 1-year option for a future year of 2027. The annual budget requirements for this, we budget annually for hosting these types of events. It's a minor expense for the city of Gulf Shores, and it's a good opportunity again to fill some room nights in the month of April and gets us staged and prepped for the 1st of May, which is when we host the Alabama Athletic High School Association's State Track and Field Championship. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Grant. Any questions for Grant? Council, audience? It's Resolution 7013, please.
Motion to adopt Resolution 7013.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 7013. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution passed. Next, we have a few ordinances. The first on the Hangout Music Festival agreement extension. Blake?
Thank you. There are no changes from what was discussed at length last week. Just as a reminder, what this proposal is a 1-year extension of the current franchise agreement to allow the festival to be held for 2026. Also includes a 1-year option for that agreement to be extended for dates in 2027 as well, if both parties mutually agree to do so. All terms of the existing franchise agreement remain in place. Also, the festival agrees that this past year's festival, the Sand in My Boots Festival, will serve as a benchmark moving forward for how we analyze how the festival is performing, in both in attendance and impact on the community, both from a reputational standpoint and an economic standpoint. Additionally, the festival agrees to use commercially reasonable efforts to work with the city to mitigate concerns like traffic and noise that we've heard from the community, and the city is committing to working with Gulf State Park to provide free beach access at Gulf State Park for residents during the month of May, while there is a significant impact to the public beach.
Okay, thank you, Blake. Any questions or comments from the council? Anyone from the audience have any questions or comments on this item? Yes, sir.
Kind of confusing, the top of the amendment, it says 11 years. That's my only question.
Yeah, that is, so we are amending the existing ordinance that is in place. So that's why you see the 11-year, you'll see the date on the top of there, I think is a 2015 date as well, which is when the last extension happened. So this is an amendment to that existing ordinance, so that all the terms and everything that flow with that ordinance remain in place.
Thank you, Blake.
Absolutely.
Good question. Thank you.
I had a couple questions about Angie Swiker. Last week we talked about the possibility of adding some language in there about earmarking funds for residents' amenities, the funds that the city makes on the Hangout Festival. And we talked about the timelines for cleanup. And it doesn't sound like any of that was added to the contract. Is the contract the same?
So the earmarking will have to have some budget discussion. You know, at the end of the day, if the money goes into the general fund, then the decisions of how that gets spent back in the community and for the citizens is every option's on the table there. But that item will have to have some discussion at the Finance Committee, and it'll have budget impact, so we can discuss that later, but it won't be part of this agreement. And the other question was?
We discussed the cleanup timelines, because it seems that after the festival runs into Memorial Day weekend, and we never quite have the standard of cleanup that we should for launching our Memorial Day weekend, which is our kickoff to summer.
Yeah, always our number one concern, having that flow right into that holiday weekend. That is an item that is addressed each year in the renewal of the operation agreement when they bring their site plan and personnel programs and safety programs. So that'll be in that agreement as well. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Laurie Eberly. I had a question about the 3% venue fee that the city's getting. How was that number arrived at? Because I saw that it started out at 1% when Hangout first started, and then it gradually moved up to 3%, and then it capped at 3%. Of course, I don't know anything about venue standards, what that is, but 3% sounds incredibly low to me. How did you guys arrive at that number, and was there any discussion on that?
Yeah, that was, and that was, I don't remember what year we added that to the agreement, but a 3% fee right off the top was a number that we felt was an adequate number at that time. It was a significant number to the producers. If they're not selling out, that's a hard number, and there's been several years they haven't sold out. So we phased that in by design from year one and grew that 1% a year till we got to 3%, and we capped it.
So do you have information on the profits that the developers made? How do you know now that 3% is still reasonable? If they sold out in 90 minutes, maybe 3% is a little bit lowball. And I've thrown out too that I think, I love what y'all are doing about the parking. That is a great idea. And of course I would hope Hangout's picking up the tab on that. The city wouldn't be paying for that. That should be an expense passed on to them to cover the parking at the state parks for the residents. But I would love to see property bought for the residents from the profits of Hangout, that we have something to show for it. But I would really like to hear about how it got capped at 3% when costs of everything else were going up. And it was obviously very successful. If it sold out in 90 minutes, maybe it's time to up that 3%. And just quick searching, of course, I don't know specifically where that number comes from. If anybody in the industry would have a better ballpark, but just checking online, it looks like 3% is way low. I've seen numbers as high as 15 to 20%. So maybe that's worth looking at. I don't know who the experts are in that position, but that was something negotiated years ago in the first 10-year block. Going forward is our chance to change that. So please take a look at that.
I think I understand, I appreciate that comment. I think the success of the Sand in My Boots has opened a lot of eyes. Everybody was pleased, including the producers and the majority of the community. But it's of the 15 years, that was an anomaly. So the goal here is that we're able to reproduce that, and that's why we've got a short-term renewal here, hoping we all work together and we can continue to bring that, and certainly that can be addressed before any long-term extension is discussed and worked on. But in addition to that, all the cost and reimbursement and police and fire, all that is paid by the Hangout, and then the sales tax. So there are some communities that pay to bring these events to their town because of the economic impact. So I think if you look across the board at what's it cost the city, what's the revenue benefit, and you'll find some cities that pay to bring these kind of events to their community through sponsorships and fees. So certainly something to consider. Thank you very much for that comment.
Bill, may I add something? A lot of franchise fees that are already in effect with utilities and such in the city they're more like between 3% and 5%. I'm not saying that everything that can't go higher than 3%, but we need to be careful here as a government, local government even, about telling a business, if you will, holding them ransom for how much we're going to let them pay to hold an event here. I'm not certain that I want the government telling me how much they can get in my business and how much they're going to demand from me. It's almost like, this isn't Chicago, this isn't New York. We're in good negotiations here. We had a great event, and I would hate to do something that would color this thing in a way that makes it just unprofitable for them. If it goes away, it'll go away eventually. And when it does, how are we going to backstop that revenue that we get? I'm not 100% in love with everything about the festival, but it does bring benefit. Now, there are other things that may take a long time to backfill if we do this, but let's look at the totality of the circumstances here. We're at a good starting point for a benchmark here, and I think we need to give it a couple of years to establish where we're going to go with it, and I think we've got a good starting place. Thank you.
And Phil, I just want to address the 3% as well. The 3% is not capped at a total of 3%. It's 3% of all ticket sales, and that number equated to over $2 million revenue to the city. Additionally, the Hangout Fest itself, the employees and their spends amounted to, I think, $2.5 to $3 million of additional revenue generated to the city. And on top of that, this does not include sales tax or lodging tax outside of the venue. So that 3% is just capped on ticket sales, and the more tickets they sell, the higher that 3% number is. So it's a huge, probably in total $5 million plus benefit to the revenue to the city in general terms. So it's been I think a negotiated term that has been successful for both parties and has allowed them to want to continue to be here in our community. And at least from what the community has said, we want to give them another shot for this 2-year period as well.
Thank you. That's why you're chairman of the finance committee. Anybody else?
I think you got one.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jenna May. I've lived here full time for about 5 years. My family has owned property here since like 1978. I live on West 8th Avenue, walking distance from the festival. I think I've attended almost every Hangout festival. But something please consider, at the end of every night, we all need safe rides home. Rumor had it this year, there were people walking all the way down Fort Morgan, West Beach. I believe a lot of people from all over the world even maybe come to this festival and just think that we're going to have Ubers, Lyfts, the infrastructure to get everybody home. And I know we have the shuttle system, but we don't have the ride support for people. And people who are not from here and don't know that, they don't know that. I don't know what it's going to, I don't have an answer, but I know we've talked about like shuttles from the airport or different hotels having shuttle services. And with the airline and the airport, we're going to have even more of this. So we've got to take into consideration like how we are going to get all of these young people home safe. And it's been a major concern of mine. I can walk home right there, so I'm very lucky, but we've got to take that into consideration as we move forward. And we've been put on the map with this festival, and now we've been put on the map even more with sand in my boots. So I just please ask that because, you know, they're there to party and they're there to have fun, but they need a safe ride home too.
Thank you. Great comment.
Great point.
Jeannie, one thing, just to let you guys know, because I know I read about this before, that we have outshined Coachella and Lollapalooza. We're on the map. We got them beat.
Okay, anyone else before we close the public hearing? Or was there a public hearing? There was not, so I won't close it. Anyone else? Okay, we'll
Suspend rules of procedure that we may consider the ordinance.
Second?
have a motion and a second to suspend the rules for consideration of ordinance 2167. Toby?
Mr. Garris.
Aye.
Mr. Sinek.
Aye.
Dr. Dyken.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Aye. Thank you. Rules are suspended. We'll consider a motion for this ordinance, please.
Motion to consider ordinance 2167 as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Toby, would you do roll call, please?
Mr. Garris.
Aye.
Mr. Sinek.
Aye.
Dr. Dyken.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Aye. Thank you. Ordinance passes. We look forward to another successful year with the Hangout Festival. We have another ordinance for amending the vacation rental safety inspection ordinance. Brandon?
Yes, sir. No changes from last week. This is just a request to extend the licenses for our safety inspections from 3 years to 5 years and add a $500 fine for those that are not complying.
Move that we suspend rules of procedure that we may consider the ordinance.
Second?
Have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Oh, roll call.
Mr. Garris.
Aye.
Mr. Sinek.
Aye.
Dr. Dyken.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Aye. And I didn't ask if there were any questions or comments from anybody. So y'all knew it. Nobody said any. I got no backup here. Yes, ma'am.
Do we know if this new inspection schedule will fall in line with Verbo, Booking.com, and Airbnb guidelines? I know they will notify us. I'm at Bender Vacation Rentals. They'll notify us of the possibility of dropping a property from their channel if a review mentions a safety issue. And as a host, we're required to provide information on inspections and other safety regulations. I need to be able to provide them with proof of city inspections, knowing that this schedule is acceptable to their requirements, or I face the possibility of losing that property from my rental program.
You asked if the inspections were based on what?
If it falls within their guidelines. I mean, have we asked at all? Have we tried to find out at all if a 5-year inspection is within their recommendations?
Whose guidelines, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Verbo, Booking.com, Airbnb.
No, this safety inspection is strictly what we consider for property maintenance and for our life safety issues that we've addressed in the past. And have not looked at Verbo or any of the other process.
Anyone else? All right, so we've suspended the rules. We're now ready for a motion for ordinance 2168.
Move for the approval of ordinance 2168 as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Toby?
Mr. Garris.
Aye.
Mr. Sinek.
Aye.
Dr. Dyken.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Aye. Last is ordinance 2169 with a taxi franchise request from Surfside Shuttle Taxi Service. Thank you, Brandon.
He loves a microphone. Yes, sir. Nothing has changed from last week. It's very straightforward. Mr. Norbert Jennings, the owner of Surfside Shuttle Taxi Service, is requesting a taxi franchise with us and has paid the $250 non-refundable application fee and has met all the requirements that are currently in place. Happy to answer any questions should you have them.
Thank you. Anna, any questions for Anna from anyone?
Move that we suspend rules of procedure, that we may consider the ordinance.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Toby?
Mr. Garris.
Aye.
Mr. Sinek.
Aye.
Dr. Dyken.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Pro Tem Harris.
Aye. Rules are suspended. We'll now consider a motion for ordinance 2169.
Move for the approval of ordinance 2169 as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Toby, roll call, please.
Mr. Garris.
Aye.
Mr. Sinek.
Aye.
Dr. Dyken.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris.
Aye. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That takes us to committee reports. Yes, Jenny?
I just wanted to give a quick update on the Little Lagoon Pass. As you know, ALDOT is responsible for keeping that pass open, and the city's role in that is that we go out and measure the depth of that pass and report that to a variety of agencies. That pass did go into trigger last Friday, so ALDOT is out there dredging right now, and the dredging work has begun on the pass, and they will be dredging until that cross-sectional area is met again, and they're no longer in trigger. So that's the update I have.
Do we have any idea what that time process looks like? Not yet, too early.
Too early, we do not. At least a couple of weeks, my best guess.
Thanks for that update.
Yep.
Any other committee reports? So I guess the committee will take care of the staff reports too. Just took out 9 and 10. This is the point on the agenda. I'm sorry, Dr. Aiken, thank you. You're not on the agenda, so you're first on that category.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Dr. Harrison and I know it's been a long meeting, but it doesn't get old talking about schools, and so we're going to give you a quick update about our advanced placement program. While Terrence is pulling that up, when we started the school system, we have core values, and one of the most important ones is we want to increase the rigor, the level of academics that we're teaching, and it really falls under Dr. Harrison. She's a little bit under the weather, so she's going to let me do most of the talking, but I'll go quickly. So advanced placement are those classes that kids take. They take a test at the end of the year, their high school courses, to earn credit at really any college or university across the country. You can see starting in 21, that line shows how our percentage passing keeps going up, as well as the number of students keeps going up. So that's a good trend when more students are taking advanced placement courses and more students are passing those tests, which are very difficult. Next slide, I think, for me is a little bit easier to read. Back one. There you go. So you can see back in 2021, 2020 was COVID year, so 21 is really our first numbers we look at. So our passing percentage was at 43.5% then, and so this year we're up to 82% of tests are being passed. So that's a huge increase since
That's
we've been in the
almost
city
double,
school
yeah.
system. Yeah. So we're really proud of our students and proud of our teachers and the work that goes in. And at the same time, you can see that exams taken started at 168. And now we have almost 300 kids taking those tests. So we are really pleased. It's just a really good measure of success for our high school academics. So what drives those, and that's really what we've been talking about, is that commitment to increasing rigor and making sure our kids are ready for college, dedicating effective teachers. We've got an outstanding staff at the high school, and then collective efforts from everybody. Parents make that happen as well. And then finally, student dedication to success. Steph, you want to add anything? You good? Okay. We're also proud that we had 56 AP scholars And so that means that they've taken a lot of tests and scored high on those tests. We had 16 with distinction, which means they passed at least 5 AP exams with an average score of 3.5, and 16 with honors. So again, it's another thing to brag about with our students. And finally, a big thing to brag about is this saved our parents $251,000 in tuition by passing those tests. So really proud of how that program has increased. We'll continue to work on that and look for good things this coming year. And then our next update, we will tell you more about we've got a great deal of success with college and career and career tech especially. And then also our dual enrollment has very, very good numbers that are similar. So just wanted to share that with you guys.
Thank you very much. That's incredible. You know, part of the story's in that 43 to 83% passing rate, but in addition to that, the curriculum rigor has gone up. So it's not a status quo change there. It's so the statement and the proof in the pudding there is a lot stronger than just the 43 to 83%. Job well done to your whole administration there. This is a time for anyone on the that didn't get on the agenda that would like to come speak with us. And sir, I know you have something.
Hi, my name is Phil Hartman. I'd like to speak about the tree ordinance. As I read the ordinance, I think the purpose is to protect heirloom trees, beautiful magnolias and the live oak trees. However, I bought a lot a month before the ordinance went into effect, and I've got pine trees. And everybody told me, cut down every pine tree you can. They said they're going to fall on your house. And in fact, when Sally hit, the little circle in front of us that's owned by the HOA lost hundreds of trees. They all fell over. I think anybody who was here through Sally knows a pine tree 10 feet from a house is a disaster waiting to happen. And in fact, the fires in California last summer are due in part to an ordinance similar to this, where you can't clear brush next to a house. Now, what happened to me was we went for a building permit, which since I had a building permit, I was allowed to remove certain trees. Anything within 10 feet you can remove. However, I got hit by the city and the city arborist, Chuck Owens, and I'd like to show you people here. And I've written a follow-up letter, and unfortunately, the city sat on it so long that I lost my chance to appeal to the board. And according to the city arborist, my only recourse now is municipal court. But I'm being fined thousands of dollars for removing this tree. This tree is still there. This picture was taken last week. I've sent Mr. Owens a letter stating that. I sent his boss, Scott Stevens, and they came back and said, okay, we'll reduce the fine from $6,000 to $5,000. That was tree number one.
You got fined what now
okay, it was 3 trees. They said that I violated the ordinance. One of the trees they claimed is this tree right here. I'm being fined $6,000 for cutting down this tree. That's still there. I don't know how to prove it other than cut it down and bring it and show it to them.
Wait, so the tree, you didn't cut the tree?
No, sir.
But
Tree's
yeah, you're
still
getting
there.
fined for it.
Yes, sir.
Well, there's obviously a mistake somewhere then.
It was a mistake, but when I showed him his mistake, he said, okay, not 6,000, 5,000. That's tree number 1. Here, I'm going to show you all tree number 2. This one's a little bit harder to see. Now, according to the ordinance, if the tree is diseased or dying, you have a right to cut it. However, it's up to Chuck Owens, the arborist, to determine whether it's dying or not. And this is a little bit harder to see. This tree right here actually had a gash in it the size of me. 22-inch tree. The guy who I hired to clear the lot said, you got to cut that down immediately. It's going to fall. Here's a better picture after they cut it. Everybody can see that hole in it. And this tree was about 20 feet from the cart path in the peninsula. My lot is in the peninsula. That's tree number 2 that I'm being fined $6,000 for. Here's another one that kind of shows the size of it. That's the size of it. That tree, the guy who cut the tree said it's gonna fall any day. This was in March. He said it's gonna either fall on your house, the workers, or the cart path. Okay, here's where tree number 3 was. If you all can see that stake, that's within 10 feet of where my house was. He would not allow me to cut that. And the guy said, I gotta cut it. I can't put the foundation in. The hole is where the tree was. The stake is where the house is gonna be. It was within 10 feet of the house. By right, I could cut that tree. That's tree number 3. 3 trees. And actually last fall, I was fined $5,000 for cutting down this tree, which when I sent him the picture, he waived the fine. This tree right here is a dead tree that was by the road, dropping branches on the street. That was $5,000 for cutting down a dead tree. So I asked that pine trees not be included. It's just a disaster. 10 feet from the house is too close. And if you want to have pine trees and protect them, at least make it 20 or 30 feet, because I probably have a half a dozen trees that are about 50 to 60 feet tall that I can't touch because they're about 10 feet. Just over 10 feet. I got, the first tree I showed you is 12 feet from my house, and the guy wanted to cut it, and I said, you can't, it's 12 feet. So I have to keep it and just hope it doesn't fall on my house. But speaking to my attorney, he said, what you need to do is draft a letter and saying when that tree falls on the house, which it probably will with the next big windstorm, that the city will be responsible for damages. So I ask that you consider either taking pine trees out altogether or amending it to make it 20 to 30 feet from the house, because it's just a disaster waiting to happen. And unfortunately, I'm tied up in it. And when all my neighbors in the peninsula built their houses, supposedly the old arborist came out and said, cut down all those pine trees. So when you go through the neighborhood, there's 2 lots with pine trees, mine and my neighbor's, because he just finished it. Nobody else has pine trees for a reason. Thank you.
Thank you. I would, Scott, are you engaged with this application at all? Please do get with Scott. And if for some reason we've held the application, I would think an extension of that appeal period would be appropriate if there's been a delay on our part, not to force this man to go to court, if there's an opportunity for us to hear the appeal and work that out. So I think we can at least get that far, Mr. Hartman, and take a deeper look at that. Did you have a tree survey done before?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the amazing part, is there was, the first tree I showed you that I'm being fined for, that's still there, that was the only tree on that side, so there's no mistaking it. There's one tree on the right side of my property, it's still there. I showed him pictures, and it just, I don't know, it's like I'm in the twilight zone, it just went over my head.
Who levied the fine? Why did he get levied a fine here? If the tree's still there?
Let him look.
Yeah.
Let's look into that. And yes, sir. So we went from mass clearing and grading to a tree ordinance that we quickly learned was really aggressive, and we've made at least 2 amendments to our tree ordinance. And the last one was to reduce the pine tree requirement in size and replacement. We extended the 10-foot around the house. So just make sure that Mr. Hartman's getting every opportunity as the current ordinance is written to remove his trees without fines. But if you'll get with Mr. Scott, we'll.
Can I point out one other thing too?
Sure.
If you could please come to the microphone. Thank you.
As the ordinance is written, all this could go away if Mr. Owens would just look at these trees and go, first tree's not there, second tree's diseased, third tree is where the house was. And in fact, when they started to dig the foundation, Mr. Owens had marked trees that were in the middle of my house. And I asked him about it. He just happened to be driving by one day when I was at the lot. And he said, what happened to those trees in the middle? And I said, that's where the house is going to be. It's going to be a 5,300 square foot house. And I said, that's where the house is going to be. And he said, well, you couldn't move. I put this stuff around it. I said, how am I going to build a house? He said, what you need to do, and this is a quote, he said, what you need to do is put in the foundation, tell the workers to stop, call me back out, and then they can cut down the trees. And I said, how are you going to cut down the trees and not have it fall in the foundation? He just said, that's what the ordinance is.
Skyhook?
So, and I couldn't believe it. And the first tree that was dead, when I complained about that, supposedly, because I said, how did he know that the tree was cut down? And he said, one of your neighbors turned you in. I said, which one? He couldn't tell me. So then I said, how did he know the size and all that? He said, well, he went on your property. And I said, I didn't give him permission, because this is before I did any building permits or anything. And his boss said, and this is a quote, Chuck Owens can go on any lot he wants in the city at any time. And I said, that's funny. Even the police need a warrant or probable cause or something. He says, Chuck Owens does it. He can go wherever he wants at any time. So he can go on anybody's property at any time and fine you for a dead tree, any tree he wants. And all this could go away if Mr. Owens would just look at this and say, yep, I waive everything. And it also says in the ordinance that you are allowed to cut down trees, and if they're not to protect it or whatever, that you can submit a plan, which we're going to put, and this is the ironic thing about it. My lot has probably about 100 trees, and their solution was to plant 14 more trees and pay the fine. And behind me is 200 acres of tree preserve. And I'm like, you tell me, do we really need 114 trees on one lot and 200 acres behind it? It's your ordinance. You sent me the letter, sir. You approved this. I don't know if you even saw
We've been in the
letter.
process of redoing this, and unfortunately, people are getting caught in the crossfire here.
Well,
and I agree, we need to protect our trees. I don't agree with the fines. I've been against them for a while now. And I'm sorry you're having this trouble, but they will get it worked out for you.
Well, the problem also, and I've done some research, my son's an attorney, that I believe this falls under the takings clause of the Constitution, because it directly says in his letter that we will not pull your building permit, pretty much. We will not halt construction, which it has delayed construction, but they can. And because they can do that, because the city can stop me from building a house, that you guys are violating the Constitution with this ordinance, I believe. And the remedy for that is federal court. If I file appeal, the federal court will step in, look at the ordinance, and take you guys to court over this ordinance. But I don't want to do that. This is my adopted hometown. I've been here for a year. I just want to get along and build my house. I don't want to fight City Hall. But again, I mean, how do I deal with the tree is still there? I mean, I'll show you. I took the picture last week.
We're going to get Scott involved and go through that with you. And
Everybody saw it.
if you've not had due process with the appeal, you'll get that.
Well, the problem is Scott sent me the letter. So I kind of appealed already, and he sent me the letter. I sent him the pictures and everything. So I don't know how you can think that tree's not there. When I showed, you saw the picture, didn't you? Let me, well, I want you to go on record and show me.
No,
we
Mr.
don't.
Hartman,
Tell me if this is a tree or not.
Mr. Hartman. Mr. Hartman.
Yes, sir.
There is an appeal application process to the council.
Well,
so a letter to Scott is not the full appeal application, and I heard you say you've missed the appeal, but
according to ordinance, I had 10 days, and because Mr. Owens didn't respond for over a month, I got the letter from Scott, and he said I'll reduce the fine from $6,000 to $5,000.
Well,
but the trees are not there.
I do think we'll work to get
Okay.
you your appeal process with the council, which will involve an application package where we can collect all that data and it can be presented where we can make a decision on how we address that ordinance on your lot.
Okay.
Okay?
Fair enough.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I won't take but a minute. Mr. Hartman's not the first person, he's not the only person that's having a problem with this tree ordinance. And I know we're in the process of working on it, and it needs a lot of work. The pine trees, I mean, Mr. Garris even said at one time that, like, if anybody that was here during Sally, every tree that was on someone's house was a pine tree. Everyone knows that a pine tree is not a good tree. You don't want it anywhere near your house, and the taller it is, the more damaging it can be. I mean, I had pine trees everywhere. It took me forever to get them off my property. So the pine trees, in my opinion, should be taken out of the ordinance, period. I ran into a young girl the other day who had a diseased tree on her property. Mr. Owens came out and said it was diseased. And they told her that if she took it down, that she was going to have to pay I think a $700 fine. I'm not sure if that's exactly, it was either 7 or more, but she's a minimum wage girl working in a real retail shop. She didn't have the kind of money to replace a tree. She went to find out how much it would cost to replace the tree, and it was going to be $700. That's what it was. And she didn't have that kind of money to replace a tree in her yard. So as we rewrite that ordinance, I would like to see us, instead of plastering these fines on people, why not give people incentives to save trees instead of penalizing people to death for cutting down a tree in their own yard? And I agree. I do think it's an infringement on property rights, and I think we do have to be very careful there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Defensible space. As one who's been through so many hurricanes, I always go for defensible space around my house, making sure all those little pine trees are gone. And then, you put a leggy ligustrum up, something decorative that will not grow tall. Defensible space.
Thank you. All right, folks, that brings our meeting to, I'm sorry. Should have asked if there was anyone else in here.
I was just waiting for the tree discussion to go.
Sorry.
All right. So, good evening, council. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Demetrius Lamberdonis, and I'm the owner of what was LA Pizzeria. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but when your livelihood and your family and your dignity and everything is questioned and pushed into a corner, silence really is no longer an option. So I wanted to come before you guys. My wife and I had put everything into that business, time, money, our hearts, our souls. And last week, it was all taken away from us. Not because we failed, not because we broke our lease. It was because we were bullied into publicly supporting a candidate that we don't know, we don't associate with, but we were forced into a situation, and here's what happened. My wife and I were at the restaurant prepping for the day and talking to a food rep when our landlord had popped in the door and said that without asking, he was going to put in some signs. He said, and I quote, to the best of my knowledge, it was, "I'm going to put these signs because we're going to win this thing." So he put,
refresh I'm a little in the dark on this here. What,
Okay.
these are what kind of signs?
they are political, mayoral
Campaign signs, okay.
signs. Yes, sir. So they put up the signs, and just being as a businessman, we try to stay neutral. I always have. I've been in business for over 30 years, playing sides politically and certain subjects don't mix very well with business. So anyway, as we tried to stay neutral, as a responsible business owner would, but that didn't work because now we had political signs in our front. When we placed other candidate signs alongside hers, those signs were removed without notice and thrown out back. We were trying to stay out of it, but now we have signs in our yard. So we added the other signs so that way we didn't play favoritism. We didn't want to show bias to one side or the other. With that being said, like I said, the other signs were taken out and they were thrown away. And so in order to stay neutral,
So your
we removed the
landlord
other.
did this?
Yes,
Who's your landlord?
David Swigert.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay. So we took down the other candidate signs, his wife's signs, just so if there wasn't going to be all signs, there's going to be no signs.
This
That
is
way,
the first
again,
I've heard of this, is why I'm asking questions. It was just,
yeah. I mean, I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Public speaking is not exactly my forte, so this is actually a little nerve wracking. But anyway, so when we noticed that all the signs or all the other signs had been taken down, we had pulled just again stay neutral, not to show bias to one side or the other. And that this past Thursday, my landlord had come in. He was actually very angry. He was swearing. He was loud. And he made it very clear to me that either we keep her signs on our property or we can get out. It was a very, it was kind of a wow moment. You know what I mean? When somebody's standing in front of you in your business, giving you the ultimatum of do what I tell you while I'm paying you rent, putting money in your pocket, and I have free use of my building. Or your,
Yeah, you have
it's mine
certain
at this point,
rights
yeah.
to that, yeah.
To be threatened and told that it's either going to stay up or we can end the lease and you're out. So I didn't respond right then and there because I don't want to make any bad decisions. I don't want to make any unchristian-like decisions. So I prayed about it. I slept on it. I woke up. I'm not going to be pushed around. I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to have my kids think that I'm, you know, for something like that. That's not normal. It doesn't happen, especially in business. But anyway, so that being said, our business is gone now. Oh no. Our, you know, as of August 1st, we're going to be out of there. Now I've got to move everything out. My whole family worked there. It was me, my wife, my kids. So now nobody has an income. They also have no income. And again, it wasn't because of any fault of our own. It was because we stood and decided. So I'm here tonight not to smear anyone. I mean, no bad blood. I'm here because I refuse to teach my children that it is back down when somebody abuses power. I refuse to let them think that this is normal. It's not. It's wrong. What happened to us should never happen to another business in this city. No one should be forced to choose between feeding their family and staying silent. No one should lose everything because their landlord is playing politics with them. I'm asking you to help, to take a stand and to put in protective measures for small businesses of Gulf Shores who rent buildings. We still deserve our rights and our dignity, even as renters. This isn't about politics for me. It's about what kind of city we want and whether we have the courage to protect the people and the businesses of Gulf Shores. And that's it. That's what I've written. But anyway, I just ask that, you know, some kind of measure be taken into effect, I guess, you know, to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody. It's not fair. It's definitely not fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
See where this is a city council issue, but since it was brought up here, I'd be happy to speak to it. First of all, only half of the story's being told there.
And let me, just before you get started, and we're going to let you speak, and my thought was this was not the right venue. He did have a request for us to look at maybe our sign ordinance and how our signs are handled with businesses and all that. So I'm assuming that's why that was brought up here, but really not the venue for a court battle in here, if that's where this is headed. But
Well, I mean, if he's going to take a moment to smear me, then I should have the opportunity to answer to it.
you have it.
Thank you. So first of all, you know, we own the property. We have a paragraph in our lease that says that no signs can be put up on the property without prior approval. The signs were put up there. Yes, my husband went over there and took the signs down, assumed that they had just been put up there without permission. My signs were already there. So the signs have been there for a month. My signs have been on that property for a month without anyone having any problem with it. Oh, so they're going to leave. Okay. So no one was evicted. They didn't lose their business. They made the choice to leave. My husband said, again, after some words, said, this is our property. We want to put our wife's signs up. It's an election period. We want to keep them up. And he did say, that's our choice. And, you know, when people aren't happy with their business, or if they're not happy in their space, then we never try to hold someone to a lease that's unhappy. So he did say, you have a choice. They took the choice. We did not kick them out. We did not tell them they had to leave. As a matter of fact, we went back the next morning. I wasn't there. I didn't know that any of it happened, but I did go back with them the next morning, apologized to the Lambadonuses, and we took the signs down. My signs, all the signs came down. We apologized to them, told them it's out of the heat of the moment. Election period, stressful. Got to the best of my husband. People saying stuff about his wife. It just got to him. So he was very apologetic, probably spent 20 minutes apologizing to the man, apologized to his son, and I even called and apologized to his wife. So we took the signs down. We also said, we hope you don't leave. We've had a great relationship. I have texts from them talking about how we were a godsend to them because we helped them get into space. So the relationship's been fantastic. We asked them to please consider the entirety of the relationship, not one heated moment. And we asked them to please stay. We wanted them to stay. So leaving was their choice. And, you know, I really don't think it's fair to use it as a political tool, which I think is what's happening here. And if they want to leave, they can leave. If they want to stay, we would love to have them stay. They've been told that. So that's where I'm going to leave that. You know, I won't get into that, but I appreciate it, the opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Angie. Anyone else that didn't get on the agenda that would like to speak? Okay.
Motion adjourned.
Thank you, Joe. See you next Monday. Thank you, everyone.
Second.